This public service program has been prepared and presented by Crime Stoppers with the cooperation of Michigan law enforcement authorities and the family and friends of the victims of the crimes described, in the hope that viewers will call in with tips which will help solve these crimes in southeastern Michigan. Crime Stoppers relies upon information provided by Michigan law enforcement authorities in the production of this programming. Crime Stoppers doesn't assume responsibility to update this public service presentation as featured crimes are solved.
52-year-old Ella Michelle Andrews suffers from severe depression. She lived in a group home in Southfield but suddenly disappeared. She's been missing nearly a month. Ms. Andrews was last seen April 24th. The staff at the group home discovered she was missing when they looked for her to administer her prescribed medication at 8 a.m. She was last seen at 12 midnight. The 52-year-old had been at the group home near I-696 and Inkster Road in Southfield for nearly 2 weeks. She is now without her medication. Ella has been spotted around 11 Mile and Inkster Road and at 12 Mile and Telegraph. Her daughter is worried sick.
Not knowing where my mother is. Our family is going through an emotion that is worse than death. With death, you can grieve and you can get over it. For 31 days now, we have not been able to get over the feeling that we have of not knowing where my mother is or how she is. We need all the help that we can get and all the prayers that we can get. Please pray for her and for us.
Southfield detectives ran search canines with no results. They also checked Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb County medical examiners, again with no results, and a check of area shelters and hospitals, no results. Ella Michelle Andrews is 5'2". She weighs 173 pounds.
You don't understand what we're going through. This is like a living nightmare every day. Every day I wake up not knowing if my sister's safe or if she's okay, if she's been harmed, if she's eating, anything. We need your help. Please, we need your help.
If you see Miss Andrews, call 1-800-SPEAK-UP. Crime Stoppers is offering a $1,000 reward.
We have a new manhunt right now and a new crime-fighting initiative to roll out. And that initiative involves you, the viewer. These two are on the front lines fighting crime every day. Our U.S. Attorney, Barbara McQuaid, is here from her Detroit office. And the Crime Stoppers of Michigan President John Broad. The new initiative, Barbara, we'll start with you, is Detroit One. Explain how it works and brag about the success already.
Well, federal, state, and local law enforcement officers have joined forces to focus on the worst of the worst offenders in Detroit. And by sharing information and coordinating efforts, we've been very successful so far. In the 6 weeks or so since it launched, we've arrested 40 very violent criminals. These are people charged with crimes like assault with intent to commit murder, rape, very serious drug trafficking crimes with guns. And we believe that by removing those violent offenders from the streets, we can improve public safety for everyone. That's amazing success already. The program is working. John, you speak with groups all over explaining the virtues and benefits of Crime Stoppers. Some people are skeptical that it's an anonymous program, and you have to persuade them that it is.
Absolutely. And I think it's working, but it's a slow process. When someone makes a tip to Crime Stoppers, they're actually calling our call center in Toronto, Canada, outside of the United States. And there's no caller ID, there's no law enforcement people there. When someone calls, they become a tip number, and that's the only way that we know who called.
We have a couple of fugitives for you to be looking for tonight. We believe they could be in the Metro Detroit area. We begin with 23-year-old Derek Miller, wanted for murder. Our victim was William Warren, who was killed November the 10th of 2012. Our victim, Mr. Warren, was walking home from a gas station with another man. They stepped onto a porch, and a masked gunman with an AK-47 walked up, said a few words, and started firing. Derek Miller, wanted for murder. Errol Johnson is a 24-year-old wanted for assault with intent to murder. This was in Northwest Detroit. Tony Cromer was shot in the back. He's our victim. Tony Cromer was on Mansfield Street in Northwest Detroit when a black 2008 Chrysler 300 pulled up. The rear driver's side passenger lowered the window and fired multiple shots from a long gun. Of course, Mr. Cromer was struck in the back but did survive. And right now there's a warrant for Errol Johnson, 24-year-old, wanted for assault with intent to murder.
Just want to know something for our family to have some closure to this. You know, me and his mother, not knowing what happened is, it's hard on us, So I just like someone to come out and just call Southfield Police and give information, there is a reward.
We're coming on the 1-year anniversary of the death of Mr. Ross. May 27th, 2012, Mr. Ross was celebrating his 28th birthday with some friends at the Marvin's Garden Inn Motel in the city of Southfield. During the party, there were approximately 25 people celebrating at this party, and 4 unknown males crashed the party. One of them produced a handgun and shot and killed Mr. Ross.
My heart is broken. But for Abdur, I'll never give up.
People can come forward and make an anonymous call and do so safely, privately, anonymously, and not worry about anybody knowing that they are the ones who made that call.
He didn't deserve it. They stabbed my son over 33 times, threw his body out. He lay from 11 at night till 7 in the morning. I could still feel them stab wounds over 33 times. He did not deserve that.
We're praying for you. We are mad at you. We're not angry. We just want justice. Just the fact that I got to go through life without my kid's father is really ridiculous. It's just a really non feeling to go through this every day without him. And we got to stay strong and I got to try to raise these boys and play a part of him and myself to raise them.
From what we know, Bernita was targeted by her killer. Why would someone kill Bernita? She was a loving, caring person, a wonderful sister, and a great friend to many. Our tragedy doubled that day when our mother, Barbara Sims, died from the shock of losing Bernita. She could not handle such a tragedy and went to be with Bernita that day.
A father who just dropped off his 3 children at school is shot and killed a short time later.
We need some tips on this one. It all happened this week. It's Fox 2 and Crime Stoppers, Michigan's Most Wanted.
On Monday morning, April 15th, tax day, this senseless murder was on Detroit's east side at Peerless and Casino. Police say a father of 3, 32-year-old Dion Tinsley, had just dropped his 3 children off at school. He was shot and killed while sitting behind the wheel of his SUV. Tinsley's mother and his stepfather say they believe Tinsley was the victim of violent road rage.
The car was blocking the streets and he wanted to get by, and the guy said something to him, and I guess words were exchanged, and the guy got out and shot him. You shouldn't have to get shot because you don't move your car.
He was a good son. He always came and did everything he wanted to do for me. But he ain't never done nothing to nobody. Nothing.
Who shot and killed Dion Tinsley? Call 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
No mother should have to bury their only child. My child will not be here to celebrate his only child's birthday this week. It is hard to just struggle through the weeks without thinking about him. And he was a good person. He didn't deserve to be shot and killed in the streets of Highland Park. His family will miss him very much, and it's hard to believe that these persons is out here just being free to be able to do and to harm another family, and it's a tragedy. I just want anyone who knows something to speak up and contact the police department. Thank you.
My cousin was my big brother. He meant and still means the world to me and my family. I have so many great memories of him, and I wasn't ready to end it yet. I felt like someone ripped my heart out of my chest when I got the dreadful phone call that he passed, or he was murdered. Right now I feel empty. I will always feel this way until I get answers about my brother's death. If anyone knows anything about what occurred on that day, please come forward. A lot of men feel like it's unnecessary, but it would mean the world to us. If you had anything to do with it, if you're responsible, please come forward and put my heart and my family's heart at ease. Thank you.
A family cries out for justice. Working in his own home in the middle of the afternoon, he's robbed and shot and killed. It's Fox 2 and Crime Stoppers, Michigan's most wanted.
He was working in his own home in the middle of the afternoon. It was 2:30 p.m., January 13th, 2013, on the 20,000 block of Goulburn near 8 Mile and Shaner, Detroit's northeast side. 42-year-old Sterling Bailey was doing carpentry work in his own home when he was surprised by someone with a gun. Bailey was the victim of an armed robbery. Sadly, the gunman did not stop with robbery. After stealing his money, Sterling Bailey was then shot and killed. Witnesses heard a gunshot and then saw a red Dodge Ram pickup driving away from the home. His family is destroyed with non-stop pain knowing the killer is still out there. Bailey's daughter Raquel has been haunted by her father's murder.
Someone was there and someone heard something or someone knew something and someone may have saw something, and I just need somebody to come forward because I just need closure.
Who robbed and then shot and killed 42-year-old Sterling Bailey? Do the right thing. Call 1-800-SPEAK-UP and claim a $2,500 cash reward.
It's been 4 months since a Detroit woman was murdered outside a liquor store. Right now, her killers are still out there. 57-year-old Charlene Anderson was leaving the Parkside liquor store on Detroit's east side when two men tried to rob her. She had nothing to give them, so they shot her in the chest. When she tried to call for help, the suspects shot her again, killing her. Anderson lived in an apartment complex across the street where everyone called her mom or auntie, but she also had 3 daughters of her own and 10 grandchildren.
She took anyone in her home. It don't matter if you was family or not. It didn't matter to her. She fed everyone. Everyone loved her. She didn't deserve this. My family didn't deserve this. You did not only just take my mama, you took my heart, my backbone, my soul.
If you know anything about the murder of Charlene Anderson, call 1-800-SPEAK-UP. Crime Stoppers is offering a $2,500 reward for the tip that leads to an arrest.
A mother is haunted for more than 5 years. Her son was shot and killed during the winter of 2007. There were 2 shooters. They now become Michigan's most wanted.
Major Nelson was outside this party store on Fenkel at Freeman, Detroit's west side. It was December 8th, 2007, in front of this Coney on this sidewalk right here. 6:45 in the evening. Major Nelson is standing here. Someone walks up and shoots him on December 8th of 07. Right after that, as he collapses, another man comes from this parking lot and also walks up and shoots Mr. Nelson. He fell in the parking lot. Major Nelson could not recover from the gunshots. He was dead at the age of 34. The trail has since gone cold. Police are baffled why Nelson, who had never been in any trouble, would be the victim of a shooting. Could there have been a mistake? Was he not a target, but perhaps resembled someone else? Police need tips to close this case. Nelson's family misses him every day. His family was so important to him.
He really loved his family. He was always around. He just loved doing things with his family. He always made everyone smile. And, you know, when you saw his smile, you knew everything would be okay.
Major Nelson's mother says his death has destroyed her.
That's my child. I lost him. And he can't be replaced. We're all he had. And he's all we had. And I just want you to turn yourselves in, please. Do that. Thank you.
Another local mother is still looking for answers after her 22-year-old son was gunned down last September. Michael McKinnon borrowed his friend's truck to run an errand and told his family he'd be right back. Soon after he left, police heard gunshots and followed them to McKinnon's body. They found the young man dead in the street on Detroit's east side. Michael has 10 brothers and sisters. He spent time traveling with the circus and joined a church 2 weeks before his death.
To know that somebody just shot him in cold blood, you know, is unacceptable, you know, to me and my family. And we just looking for some closure.
Crime Stoppers is offering a $2,500 cash reward for information leading to an arrest. If you know who killed Michael McKinnon, call 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
You took a life. You chose to treat her like an animal. And that's not right.
Vernon Lope speaks out on behalf of his wife, Sandra. The 37-year-old mother of 5 children left Santino's Bar on Van Dyke at 1 a.m. on December 16th. She was walking home when she was hit by a vehicle. That driver continued on more than 600 feet, dragging Sandra under the vehicle. The driver eventually stopped. Investigators say someone got out of the vehicle and pulled Sandra Lope's body from underneath. Then the vehicle drove off. Sandra was discovered in the parking lot of a mobile home park on Van Dyke near Campground Road in Washington Township.
Please, you know who did this, and you know who you are out there. You owe it to God, you owe it to me, you owe it to our family, and you owe it to our kids. You have to come forth. We have to have closure. What you did is just unbelievable.
This should never happen to anyone, but how do you explain this to 5 young children?
You know, it's not fair to us to have had to bury our sister. We should not be here. We should not have to do this. It's not fair that her children have to grow up without a mother now.
The driver knew exactly what happened. There will be considerable damage to the right front passenger side of the car, just feet away from the driver.
If somebody knows of a vehicle that may have some damage to the front passenger side, that's information. Any little bit will help, and our investigators are going to follow up on every tip.
To the person who killed my son, you hurt my soul, my heart, my life forever. Without God, I will be nothing. Somebody knows something. Someone saw something.
A Detroit mother with a passion for helping others disappears. That was more than 3 months ago. Her car was found, but she's still missing. Fox 2's Alexis Wiley reports her family is now working with Crime Stoppers to find her.
You don't know how it feels until it's you. It's a feeling, I can't describe it.
33-year-old Tamala Wells disappeared 3 months ago. Her family's trying to stay strong, but hope is hard to come by.
I love you, Mama. Come home.
Tamala left her house on the night of August 6th. Her boyfriend says he believed she was going to be with friends. Her mother says she spoke to her around 10:30 that night. She had no idea that was going to be the last time.
As a mother, you can hear just a slight of a razzle, like she was just a tense upset about something.
Tamla's car was just dumped in this neighborhood on Detroit's east side, miles away from her home. A few items of clothing were discovered inside, but Tamla was nowhere to be found.
People just don't disappear. Someone that day saw something.
And they're hoping that a $1,000 reward from Crime Stoppers will urge witnesses to come forward and end this family's suffering. The number to call, 1-800-SPEAK-UP. On Detroit's east side, I'm Alexis Wiley, Fox 2 News.
He was a father, son, and a brother, and this summer he was gunned down, shot and killed while sitting in his own car. It's Fox 2 and Crime Stoppers, Michigan's Most Wanted. In June 2012, Larry Green was sitting in his car across the street from the C-Note Lounge near Van Dyke and 7 Mile, Detroit's east side. Someone opened fire. Green, who worked as an auto mechanic, was a loving father, son, and brother. He was shot dead at the age of 28. The trail to find the killer has grown cold. Green's family is now making a plea for someone to call in a tip.
I'm just asking anyone for any information, and the one who shot my son, I know you'll see this. I hope you do the right thing. Turn yourself in, because someone's going to tell. Someone's going to let you know, and we'll never stop looking for you.
Who shot and killed 28-year-old Larry Green? There's a $2,500 reward. You'll remain anonymous. Call 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
I know the rules of the streets is you see and don't tell. But somewhere, someday, somehow, it has to stop. Someone has seen something. Someone has heard something.
It's hard sleeping at night, just knowing that he's not there. His laughter, his smile, him being silly, him just being Cody.
I thought I wouldn't be able to make it through the night with all the grief and sorrow surrounding me. I want to know who did it. It was so cowardly and foolish and ignorant to take a great person's life who only tried to help people like him.
This should make you angry. A high school student gunned down, a senseless crime. Your heart hurts for his mother, who's asking for your help to find the killer. It's Fox 2 and Crime Stoppers, Michigan's Most Wanted. Gene Chambers, a student at Henry Ford High School, was simply walking down the street with friends near Granville and Schoolcraft on Detroit's west side. It was June 21st when suddenly someone opened fire. Gene Chambers was hit. He collapsed and died. Shot and killed in cold blood, he was only 17. Chambers' mother has not been able to sleep. She says she won't rest until police find her son's killer.
I'm hurting inside. Too many days has gone past and we don't know what happened to him. And only the people that left there with him, which is Anthony and Ken, the only two know what happened. And I'm here pleading today, please, somebody, would you come forward and let us know what exactly happened to my son?
I can't describe it.
33-year-old Tamla Wells disappeared 3 months ago. Her family's trying to stay strong, but hope is hard to come by.
I love you, Mama. Come home.
Tamla left her house on the night of August 6th. Her boyfriend says he believed she was going to be with friends. Her mother says she spoke to her around 10:30 that night. She had no idea that was going to be the last time.
As a mother, you can hear just a slight of a razzle, like she was just a tense upset about something.
Tamla's car was just dumped in this neighborhood on Detroit's east side, miles away from her home. A few items of clothing were discovered inside, but Tamla was nowhere to be found.
People just don't disappear. Someone that day saw something.
And they're hoping that a $1,000 reward from Crime Stoppers will urge witnesses to come forward and end this family's suffering. The number to call, 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
He was a father, son, and a brother, and this summer he was gunned down, shot and killed while sitting in his own car. It's Fox 2 and Crime Stoppers, Michigan's Most Wanted.
In June 2012, Larry Green was sitting in his car across the street from the C-Note Lounge near Van Dyke and 7 Mile, Detroit's east side. Someone opened fire. Green, who worked as an auto mechanic, was a loving father, son, and brother. He was shot dead at the age of 28. The trail to find the killer has grown cold. Green's family is now making a plea for someone to call in a tip.
I'm just asking anyone for any information, and the one who shot my son, I know you'll see this. I hope you do the right thing. Turn yourself in, because someone's going to tell. Someone's going to let you know, and we'll never stop looking for you.
Who shot and killed 28-year-old Larry Green? There's a $2,500 reward. You'll remain anonymous. Call 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
Are you among those who believe Crime Stoppers is just another branch of the police department, the Department of Corrections, Michigan State Police, or the prosecutor's office? I used to think the same thing. Now I know it's not. Not too long ago, I was sitting right where you are, doing a 20-year bid. When I heard about Crime Stoppers, I knew they only cared about locking people up. I knew Crime Stoppers just wanted someone to snitch. I was certain they didn't care about people who called in tips being found out. Now I know what I didn't know. Crime Stoppers really does go through extreme measures to see to it that those who call